Hey, hi everyone, welcome back. So, as part of the today's session, let us see more about the GitHub Actions. As part of the previous session, we have committed our code to GitHub. Then, what is this GitHub Actions? See, basically, this GitHub Actions is a continuous integration and a continuous delivery platform which is directly integrated with your GitHub itself. And moreover, this enables you to automate various stages of your software development workflows. We can create a workflow that builds and tests every PR. So here, as part of this particular actions, we are creating this workflow. Okay, we will see what exactly this workflow in the next few minutes. And the next thing out over here, usually a question that comes in our mind, Surendra, what is the difference between the GitHub Actions and a Jenkins? See, in general, both are CI/CD tools itself, which allows us to automate the SDLC process, but the approach and the features, whatever they are offering, is a bit differ. As part of this session, let us see how exactly we can work on a GitHub Actions. What I'm doing right now is let me navigate back to my code that we have created earlier and that we have committed back. So if you look at it, basically inside the Playwright, there is a .github folder, and inside which there is a workflow, and inside which there is a Playwright a YAML file. And now what I'm doing is let me navigate to the Playwright official documentation. They are saying that at the time of installing your project, if you have selected the GitHub Actions as a true, then it's gonna create a .github in which it's gonna create a workflow folder in which you have a playwright .yaml file. This is the content that you have as part of this particular YAML file. Perfectly all right. And then, so the next thing that we need to know here is, okay, that's fine, Surendra. What I have understood is this GitHub Actions comes by default with your Playwright, which is a CI/CD tool. Then it does has an YAML file. So what is this YAML file here is in general, what exactly the configuration that we need to do for this particular project will be defined as part of an YAML file, and it is an easy to understand. And moreover, whatever the folder does has, which is a playwright.yaml file, okay, it contains what is the workflow, when it should be executed, what is the environment it needs to execute, what are all the various steps that it needs to execute. Everything would be defined within this particular YAML file. I can say that this YAML is a configuration file. Okay, perfectly all right. So what I'm gonna do right now is, so in order to get this particular one in a clear cut way, what I'm doing here is get checkout hyphen brie, and I'm naming it as a main. Okay, I'm switch it to my main branch. Okay, whatever the branch that I have, I just switch it to my main branch. And here get add a dot, and here get commit hyphen m my commit, and here. Okay, and okay, so what I'm getting here is you haven't changed anything. So what I'm doing here is my playwright test 2. Okay, my playwright test 2. This is what the changes that I have made, and now I'm committing my changes, and now I'm pushing my changes. So it is asking me to push here. Okay, let me push my changes to the main branch. Okay, perfectly all right. So all the changes got a push to your main branch. Now, if you go to your repository that we have created, the Playwright basics. So here, repository. What is the repository? This is the Playwright basics. So here, earlier we have only first branch. Now we have a main branch which I have committed just a few seconds before. So we will be referring to this particular main branch itself. Perfect. So what we have done right now in our project, we created a separate branch and we committed our code to a main branch. That's it. I haven't done any changes. Let me close this terminal. And here, as and when you have committed your changes to that particular branch, let's select this branch here as a main branch, and within your GitHub, okay, within your GitHub, see, there is an actions option. This is what the actions option is. Select that particular actions option. So here, select that actions option. As and when you have a selected, see here, whatever the commit that you have done, I just gave it as a my commit. And while committing, if you observe, the name that I have given out over there is a Playwright test 2. See here, that comes under this particular all workflows. So the name that we are giving here as part of this particular YAML file is a workflow name. Okay, this is the name that we are giving, which is a workflow name. So what are we trying to do right now? Let us try to understand the content present in this YAML file, guys. Okay, whatever the content that you have as part of this YAML file, let us try to understand step by step. So the name that you have given here is an workflow name. Okay, so that it is populating here under the workflow. As of now, we have only one workflow that it is populating. If at all you have a multiple workflows, you can see all those workflows here. Perfect. Immediately, a question that comes in our mind: what is a workflow? Right. These are an automated processes defined in an YAML file within your GitHub repository. Yes, of course, that's what it is defined in the repository, which will be triggered by specific events such as pushing the code to the repository, or creating a pull request, or creating any issues. Okay, perfectly all right. So if you look at this particular workflow, what it is saying is trigger these actions. So here, this is the name of the workflow, and this is on, and the actions they have given is a push and a pull request. Okay, on to the branch whenever there is a code committed to this particular branch. Trigger this workflow, execute all the steps present in that particular workflow. What are all those branches? Main and as well as a master branch. So here there is a main. That's the reason, I have created a main branch. Ideally, you can change the name of that particular branches. And if at all there are any other branches also, you can specify the list. But I'm just referring to the main branch itself. So the meaning here is this complete workflow is gonna trigger whenever you push any changes to the main branch or a master branch. That's what it is specifying. So here, that's what it is specifying. It executed that particular one. See here, 2 minutes before, it executed this particular stuff. Of course, it got a fail. Anyways, we will look at that particular failure moving ahead. Okay, that's fine. So the point here is this is a workflow that will be triggered whenever you made any changes to this particular branch, or whenever you try to pull it. Perfectly all right. So this is about a workflow. And the next one is a jobs. Okay, what's next? We have next to the workflow, we have a jobs. Basically, the job, a workflow consists of one or more jobs. So here, within this particular workflow, you can define any number of jobs inside that, which can run in parallel or a sequential actions. All these jobs, one or multiple jobs, can be executed either in a parallel or in a sequential operation, and each jobs executed within a fresh VM. Okay, each job executed within a fresh VM. So here, this is what the job is. Job contains a test, and the timeout maximum is 60 minutes, and this is running on. Okay, if you have a look into that, so this is running on Ubuntu latest on that particular machine. If you want to run it on a Windows latest, you just need to specify it as a Windows latest. Or if you want to specify it on a Mac OS latest, you can specify it as a Mac OS latest, like this. So here, Windows latest, or you can also specify Mac OS latest, saying that. So this will be executed on that OS. And if at all you want to specify it on a multiple machines, basically, you can just specify it in an array format. Okay, you can just define it in an array format, and a comma separated values, you can define it there. Perfectly all right. And what are all the steps this job contains? Basically, within each job, a sequence of steps are defined, that actions are to be performed. What exactly the actions it should perform, this job should perform, all those things would be written as part of this steps itself. My first step is get the latest code, install the node, And the node version that you need to install is whichever the latest version of a node is there. Get the node version. The steps that are listed here, I'm just explaining. And whatever the dependencies are there, install all those dependencies and install the Playwright browsers and run your Playwright test. This is what the command npx playwright test just executed. And here, if you observe at this particular point, here it is mentioning that if this is cancelled, then only generate a report, and the retention time, okay, store this particular report for maximum of 30 days. Okay, whatever the report that you are generating, store it for 30 days. And this, what I am doing right now here is I'm changing it to always, irrespective of a fast, irrespective of fail, no matter whichever it might be. I want to get this particular report. Perfectly all right. And if you go to the browser and if you look at the workflow, my commit, if you look at it basically, this is what the test that we have a given a name here. This is what the test that we have a given a name here. The same test got a populated. And if you look at the details inside the test, okay, one after another, all the tests are being executed. How many tests are there? One after the test, all the tests are being executed. If you look at it basically, your one of your test script got a failed here. Okay, process completed with a code 1. So there is an issue with this particular request. That's the reason it got a fail. Okay, there is an issue with this particular request. That's the reason it got a fail. Okay, this is what the details about it. Okay, this is what the details about it. What I'm doing right now is for my better understanding, how many tests are there? Okay, we have a huge amount of a test right now. Okay, that's fine. So let me comment out that this API 2 which is causing the failure. Okay, let me comment out the API 1 and couple of scripts. I'm just commenting it out for my better visibility. Okay, I'm just commenting out all my codes, the API relevant chunk. Okay, so I made a changes to this particular code, and now we need to commit these changes so that the workflow will trigger that execution. Okay, now what we need to do here, we need to see git status. As and when you see the status, you have a modified these many files. And additionally, what I'm gonna do right now, my YAML file, I'm changing with the name as a playwright test 3. Okay, playwright test 3. And here the status, these many files got a changed. Now here, git add a dot. So here git add a dot. And now git commit -m my latest changes. Okay, and let me push the code basically. I'm pushing the code into the main branch. Okay, I'm pushing the code into the main branch. Let me come back to the actions, and another action, my latest changes got a triggered just now. And if you look at it basically inside the actions, the test is being executed. All those actions one after another. See here, running the playwright test is the next step that it's being executing. Okay, one after another, all the steps are getting executed here. Okay, automatically whenever the code committing got happened, all these actions are being performed one after another. So this is the way how exactly you can configure the GitHub Actions, guys. Okay, perfectly all right. See you again in the next lecture in continuation with this example. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.